Okay, so hi everybody. It's Jill Carty from Jill Carty Designs, and today I'm really excited to have my good friend and Mark Thomas from Budget Blinds. And Mark and I have been working together for, gee, Mark, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years at
Yeah,
least.
wow, no, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, a little while. So Mark comes in on consults that I'm doing window treatments in, and he will come right on site, and he's got a cool van that's got product. It's like driving your business around with you, which
You think my vein's cool, so that's nice. I
I
appreciate
do. I just think that's
it.
amazing. I think if I could get all my samples and stuff in something like that and go and do my consults, how great that would be. Um, so, Mark, today we're going to talk about some new legislation that came in and how that affected this industry and affects me as a decorator and other designers. But I wondered if we could start with, okay, so your Budget Blinds Peterborough. I want to give you the right,
Yes. Yeah,
and so
budget blinds of Peterborough. Yeah.
yeah, and we can
Usually if you
find
go on Google, search blinds, Peterborough. I'm usually one of the first ones that pops up. But
first
yeah,
one
that's
that's, yeah, okay,
us.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, so what about help us with some definitions maybe first, because I think the three main window treatments would be shutters, blinds, and shades. And I think people seem to interchange the shades and blinds, and
Yes.
there is a distinction there. So let's start there.
Yeah, so I guess I mean, shutters are kind of a very distinct category if we start with that one, in that it's a louvered product with kind of a frame and it's hinged, so it opens like a door or a cupboard, so it's that style, and then the difference, a lot of people, yeah, shades and blinds, a lot of often get interchanged and mixed up. So blinds are like it's a louvered product as well. So like a with a slat. And a lot of people remember, and they still exist today, but like mini blinds was kind of all the rage back in the
Yes.
day. And
Yeah.
they're those 1 inch wide slats that can be raised up or lowered and then also tilted to control the sun. And then a shade, I guess, is kind of, there's a bunch of different types of shades, but typically it's a some sort of fabric or material that's going to come down, typically from the top, and either roll down or fold down, whether it's a roller shade or a Roman shade.
Mm.
But basically, they're going to typically come down from the top and cover your window that way. And they won't necessarily have the that tilting functionality. It's more up or down for the most part. There are a few variations, but that's kind of how to think about it.
Cool. And it's really nice that we can get fabrics and some textures and different things in these kinds of window treatments that you offer.
Sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
So that's a good point. And just to know that there's all these lovely colors and things. And I think,
Yes, yeah. For people that haven't looked at window coverings recently, when I say, a lot of times I say roller shade, and they think of just that plain white vinyl that flips up and does all kinds of things. But there's probably too much choice right now with
yeah,
respect to colors and textures and all that across pretty much all the categories. There's a pretty wide selection of what's available.
yeah. And one of the things that you and I seem to be putting on a fair few windows. I mean, cottages, I get that is, but are the solar
Yeah.
ones. And so just when you were talking about the availability of different things in that line, so we've got lots of colors to choose from. And they are the ones that block the sun but allow us to still see out.
Yeah. And so solar shades are a great product, especially for places where you do want to have a bit of sun control, but maintain a view. So cottages, cabins, even in the city, there's, can be quite some nice views, or people want to be able to look into their backyard.
Yeah.
And they're basically a mesh sort of woven. They're woven a bit differently, which allows you to get that light control, but also maintain the visibility. So they're a really popular product. They're also very low maintenance in terms of cleaning, and if they don't really get too dirty. If they do get dirty, they're quite easy to wipe down. So they're one of my more popular products.
Yeah.
The one thing a lot of people think that, or you hear those people talk about those those blinds or those shades that you can see out, but people can't see in. So there is a little bit of a misconception, I think, that's in the market where people think that, okay, I can see out, but people won't be able to see in. But at nighttime, what people might not understand is that what you see out during the day, people can see in at night. So that's the one kind of
Okay.
downside to the solar shades. They're a great product and it's nice to have your visibility, but for privacy, specifically at night,
Yeah.
they're not always the most ideal.
Okay. Good
Yeah.
to know then. So you shouldn't be running around in your
No, I've had
pajamas or
a
your,
few clients call me with concerned neighbors.
right? Because you think, oh, well, yeah. Okay, good to know. Good to
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
then they also come in different, um, oh, what's the right word? The opaque,
Like the percentages.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. So for solar shades, they're kind of unique in that they're a little bit more of a little bit more of a technical product in that they have different specs. And so a lot of people will refer to the openness factor of the solar shade. And so it's basically how tight, whether you have a really open mesh or a really tight mesh. And so it can range from, starting at 1% open, and basically a 1% open fabric is gonna block 99% of your UV rays,
Mm,
and give you really good light control. You will sacrifice a bit of the view when you do that. But then they get progressively more open. So typically 1, 3, 5, and 10 are kind of your standards, but then there's stuff in between. And there's some solar shades that are designed to be, maybe a bit more decorative, and have different looks and feels to it. But kind of 1, 3, 5, I find most people end up in a 3 or 5%.
right.
Unless you're dealing with like extreme heat control that they're looking for, or where maybe the sun isn't that bad, they just want like a little something, then you might go up to a 10 and really maximize your view and just get like a little bit of sun control. But typically 3 or 5, I find there's 80% of the market.
Yeah. And so just from my perspective, there are two. Most of those are the inside mount. So if you wanted to put draperies with those, that's a good combination product.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So just thinking in the day, if it's like, full on sun that you just can't, some people just are, I can't even sit in the room. It's so uncomfortable.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
But still want to see out. And then at night you could just pull those draperies.
Yes.
And so that's a nice combination. So
Yeah, nice way to pair treatments. It looks nice and also quite functional. Yeah.
yeah, they're beautiful. And I think almost, well, all of our clients that we've done are really, really pleased with them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, good.
yeah, that's cool. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit here to this
Yeah.
legislation that happened
Sure.
and what that meant and how that's impacting things now.
Yeah, yeah. So back, I guess May of 2 years ago, they introduced new rules in the window coverings with respect to cords and any sort of cording attached to the products. There were a few other minor things, but that was the majority of the focus. And the idea behind that was to improve child safety is probably the number one thing, and and pet safety, but kind of reduce that risk of strangulation or injury from getting caught up in a cord.
Sure.
And so they gave the window cover industry basically 1 year to kind of, figure things out and come up and adapt their products. And then as of May of last year, the enforcement came into effect, in which case you were restricted to what type of cording could be sold on any window coverings in Canada.
Okay.
And actually, the US is actually starting to adapt similar legislation as well. So we'll see a bit more standardization, which will be good for Canada. But basically, the rules are, or what the impact was, which is probably more important, is that I'll just show you. People are probably very familiar with these cords. They've been on roller shades and other products for many years.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is what we used to have as a safety device, which helped secure it to the side of the window and prevent people from, playing with it. They didn't feel that was enough. And so now you either can't have this cord because it can create, a loop, which somebody could get their head or arm stuck in that. And so anything with a cord like this has to be contained in a sort of a safety sheath or covering. So I'll show you what that looks like. And there are a few different options. But this is just, every supplier has their own variation. So this is kind of what one of my suppliers initially came up with. Essentially, there's this plastic sheath that the cord fits into, and you can access it, but you can only access a small portion at a time. Or what they do is they have a crank that you can use now to move the cord up or down.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so it's a different look. They have come up with recently a clear plastic version of this, which I find is a little bit more attractive. But what I think most people, if they can, I think going cordless, just completely cordless, is a really good solution. So for roller shades, just to give you an idea, this is a little tricky.
Yeah, you're doing well.
I'm not normally doing it this way for some reason. Here, they have basically, there's no cord on the product, and you just pull down, and then you just push up. So it's nice, simple, smooth. Nice. They have, this is their miracle lift or agile lift, but basically you don't have to give it, that jog that a lot of people are familiar with, where and then springing up. It's just nice and smooth and tucks up away, and it's a nice clean look too when it's, especially for a roller shade, where a lot of people are having it to kind of, they just want the window covering basically for privacy or light control, and then when they want to look out the window, they want to see the whole thing, so it doesn't take up much room in the window either, which is nice.
Yeah, that's like a cassette kind of header or whatever.
Yeah, so it's a little, so there's lots of different ways to finish the window covering, and how, in terms of how they look. This is what they call a cassette valance, and it's got a fabric wrapping across the face, which kind of softens it a little bit. You can get them with a metal finish as well. And then they just take, I don't know if probably hard to see, but that fabric that you use for your roller shade, you put across the front.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Cassette.
So
yeah, so it's nice, just a nice finish. And it makes it look quite nice in the window.
So ease of use for that is got to be just a super feature. And for me, like if I have those on multiple windows, just to be able to push them up and have them all even is
they're very easy to adjust. Micro adjustments. They're easier to align if people have those 3 in a row versus some other products. Or other control mechanisms in the past might have been a little bit more challenging to get everything just so. Totally.
And those old spring ones, like you said, you'd think you'd have it, and all of a sudden one of them would take off on you, and you have to start all over again, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's a nice. So I like going cordless. We can still do that adaptation of a cord. Typically, if a window is quite large, the cordless mechanism can only go so big. They can go quite large, but once you get beyond, nowadays there's windows that are very big. And so they can do the corded, or sometimes it's an access issue. So, obviously when this is fully raised, and if it's at the top of a really high window, not everybody's able to reach it and pull down, in which case it's nice to have either a cord, or they do have, motorization or some other ways of controlling it. Asking somebody to get up on a step stool every time to lower their blinds.
Right.
Solution.
So you just brought up a point that I had in my notes to talk about, and that is the motorization feature. So, we're seeing more and more anything that can make a home smart, the technology. But that's just really nice that you can just push a button and just see these, working in the background behind you. And
it's nice. It's like I think it's comparable to when you used to have to crank down your window in the car.
Yes.
That's what we all grew up with, and you cranked it down and it wasn't a big deal. And then when you get power windows, you're like, oh, this is nice. So I think the industry is moving more and more towards that. direction, because it is a lot. I mean, it's just so simple and easy and nice, and I think people probably get more use out of their window coverings if you're just pressing a button. It's so much easier than having to, if you want to go around and close the whole house up, you're going around versus just pressing a button and everything just comes down automatically. Yeah.
And I don't know if but would this even interface with your phone or?
Yeah. So they have pretty much most motorization products. I work with a few different suppliers, but they all have typically an app you can download on your phone. And then the one thing you have to do is just there's a little, what they call like a bridge or Wi-Fi hub that basically allows you to connect kind of your phone goes to the hub, and then the hub sends a signal up to the shades. So it's kind of that connecting point.
Nice.
But yeah, it allows you to control it from basically wherever you are. And there's other functionality with respect to, you can set schedules, you can some have like vacation mode. So some people, if they're going away, they want to make it still look like somebody's in the house. It just kind of randomizes when things are up and down, and it's a really nice feature.
Yeah, so for safety, that's just built in. And then if I'm out and about shopping and all of a sudden, the sun comes out and I realize that it's really hot, I can just do that from my phone and put that blind down and not have the house all hot by the time I get home.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it from home. You can set up some people will do like a sunrise, sun schedule. So I mean, technology is incredible. It kind of knows where you are, and knows when the sun gets up and when the sun goes down, and it can adjust all without, just on its own.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. So now talk to me about budget for losing that cordless option. Has that impacted the budget to have this other product?
Yeah, so it depends on which product, whether it's a blind or a shade, and which supplier. But generally speaking, it has going cordless typically does add to the price of the window covering. Probably looking at maybe about $40 or $50.
Okay.
But it does depend on suppliers, and some suppliers will run free cordless promotions or some other thing. So it depends on the supplier, the time of year. But in general, it is going to be a bit more to go for the cordless mechanism.
But for the benefit and still have availability of a product that does all the things that it does. I mean, that's
for sure.
The investment.
Even before these regulations, I still like the look and the use of the cordless. So I think it's a great option and worth the investment. There's one, but and then they have the other one kind of in between cordless and full on remote, is they have some suppliers have what they call a power wand, where it's a motorized product, but there's a little wand that hangs down, so there's no cord or loop, and you press a button on the wand, and that's it's a little bit more than a cordless, but it's less than motorization. So that could be neat for really big windows that you don't want that cord or don't want to have to use the chain. They're coming up with new solutions all the time, but those are kind of three good options.
Yeah, nice. And the solution that you showed us, that in cases, does that mount on the inside or on the face of the window or on the wall beside it? Where do we want to put that?
Yeah, so this would basically, the idea is this would kind of replace the cord here, so it would hang where the cord was. This one is just like a free, it doesn't mount or click in anywhere, so you can if you need to pull it out to get access. They do now have one where it is which I really like. I think it's a good idea, is they basically put little magnets on the back of it, and then you put a little magnet catch plates on the side of the window, and so it just clicks in there, and then when you need to, you just pop it off, and then you can adjust, and then back in. So that's I think that's a nice little way of doing it.
Yeah, keep it nice and tidy, and it's not swinging around or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
nice. Okay, I don't know what else to ask you. That was pretty great. Let's talk a little bit about the cellular
Yeah.
Blinds, because those are really nice.
Yeah, those are very popular as well.
Yeah.
So the cellular shades, they have a bit more of like a pleat look to them versus the roller shade was just like a flat material.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest functional difference between those and roller shades is their insulating properties. So the cellular shades basically kind of create this, because of the little pleat they make, they create this air pocket, which acts as an insulator. So they're great for people for winter or summer to try and keep heat in or heat out. A lot of people notice a pretty big difference when they install them and like, oh yeah, that window used to be so drafty. We used to get so much cold coming in from there, and now it's a lot. It's so much improved. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So they'd be like, you could probably put those like in a sunroom even, or whatever. They'd be ideal for blocking out some of that heat.
Yeah, for sure.
Can we see through those, or do they come in different levels?
So they do have, most of them are a what I would call like a semi-opaque or a light filtering material where they still allow some light, but you can't see through them. They do have a few shears fabrics available,
Yeah.
which will allow you to see through a little bit and still give you some of that heat control. So with these new regulations, we used to have a product called top down, bottom up
Yes.
cellular shades, which were very popular. It was a great product where you could basically bring the shade down and have the whole shade down and then bring it down from the top and kind of open up the top portion of your window. So when you did that, there was cords that became exposed. And so with the new regulations, I'm currently not able to sell that. I was just talking with one of my suppliers, and they're working on a fix or a solution that's gonna work. But we don't have that in market right now.
Okay.
What they've done is basically you can put a sheer fabric where it used to be open. Now you can put a sheer fabric, which will help contain the cords and make sure that it's safe. But it won't be completely open as it was in the past.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think the cellulars are so pretty. To
Yeah.
me, they go really well with almost any decor style.
Yeah.
And when they are down, they're quite attractive. So I think that they're pretty nice.
Yeah, they're nice. They're a little bit softer, add a little bit of depth to the window as well, which is nice. Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe just a little bit more dressed than the solar option, but
Yeah.
And typically the cellulars we would just I usually just recommend, and my clients seem to like them just on their own. You just need that one product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit softer. I mean, you can obviously, if you decide you want to pair it with drapes or curtains, you can do that. But yeah, I usually tell people, put it up and then see how you feel. And if you want more, you can, even if you want just for decor, a couple panels, you can do that as well. But they're nice. They're nice just on their own as well. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And then let's talk about warranty. I have to say I have had zero issues with warranty in all the time that we've worked together, Mark. Just
Yeah. No.
speaks to the quality.
Yeah. So the way I work is I work with different suppliers, but they all pretty much have a really kind of a minimum of a 5-year no questions asked warranty. And so basically that warranty is going to cover you if anything happens to the shade, even if we're blind, even if it was your fault, they repair or replace each one. So it's really they really stand behind their product, which is nice. It's nice. I mean, it does happen, things happen, but when they do happen, they've always been there to repair or replace, which is I think what most people really want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like it happens all the time, which is nice for me.
It's nice. That is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We might not be having this chat today if that was happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
no,
it is
nice.
nice
When stuff happens, it's nice to know that they're for you.
that they've got you, and that is good. And it is really nice for me to feel a confidence in your product. So when I am on site or when I'm recommending something, I just don't even have to think about it. It's just like, I know the quality is there and I know the service is there. And then let's talk about installation. So I think Derek does all your installs, right?
Yeah, he does most of my installs. I do have
Yeah,
another installation team that I work with as well, but Derek's been doing a
yeah.
lot of the work, and yeah, he's a great guy. He's comes from the window covering industry.
Okay.
Where we worked for a manufacturer for many years, and then
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then he moved up to the Duro area, and we came in contact, and I've been working with him ever since, and been quite happy with his work and professionalism.
Yeah, and he is. I've seen him on site. I've been on site when it's been install day, or I'm there doing other things, and he is professional. Just quiet, just comes in and
Yeah,
gets it
yeah,
done. But
yeah.
but those are all the things that we like. So when we are getting a product, we have peace of mind to know, like, you've got us from the beginning to the end. So you come with your van. We try and say, we're thinking about this product or that product. So it's like you don't have to bring the kitchen sink with you too.
But
Um,
sometimes it's hard to know, right? Sometimes you have a unique window, a unique need. You're not sure what's out there. So I do sympathize with people where they like, I don't know what to do
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So we just sort of talk through things and see what they want functionally, and show them different options as to what everything looks like, and then usually we're able to come up with a pretty good option for people.
Yeah. And so I guess that's the main thing would always be to figure out your function first, and the reason that you think you want a treatment on that window.
Yes.
And for me, my clients know I'm the girl. I just say I hate naked windows. I'm that person. So
Yeah.
even if it's, I celebrate if you've got a view and you've got the privilege of not having the privacy issue.
Yeah.
I still want panels on the side. I
Yeah.
just want something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I share this on one of my workshops, but I read a quote in some decorating magazine or something quite a few years ago that stuck with me. But this lady had the same thinking that I did, and she said, "Windows that are not treated are like a man in a suit in bare feet." Yes, they're just
Yeah.
not quite finished properly. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, that's good. So, is there anything else you want to tell us about, or do you see trends? Anything happening, or
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely roller shades have been popular for quite a few years now, and maintain their popularity. I think a lot of people are like the simplicity, the sort of minimalist look, but and motorization too. So I'm definitely getting
mm,
at more people looking for the convenience. And the nice thing about motorization as well is when you're not touching the product, typically there's a lot less that can go wrong. So once it's kind of set up, I find there's usually not really too many issues,
yeah?
which
And
is
I
nice.
imagine they would stay cleaner as well,
Yeah, for
probably. I mean,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
that's pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
and we're definitely going to more smart technology
yeah.
anywhere that we
Oh
can
yeah.
in the homes. So
Yeah,
it's nice that the industry is keeping up with that as well for these. So
yeah.
yeah,
No, for sure.
great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I think yeah, I'm here to help you and your clients, and figure out what's going to work for them, and you know, yeah, we're pretty easygoing, even keel environment. So I'm not some sort of high pressure salesperson.
No,
If
and it's
people are
so
just looking
nice.
for advice too, I'm
Yeah.
I'm happy to just give advice. And I know not everybody's ready to do something right away. They're just they're planners, and they want to sort of think about what they want to do in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when I call you to say I've got a job and blah blah blah, so we figure out an install day or a consult day.
Yeah.
So just for people watching, so Mark and I show up. Mark gets there usually before I do. Every time I try so hard, but that's really great. So often he's there and has met the client. But so it's like a team effort. We just
Yeah.
kind of and then we just throw at Mark. Have you got this, or does it come in this color? Mark just gets his binders out. He knows where he's going. So it's just really nice that you've got that knowledge and you know where
Yeah.
everything is right away. And so we, like you said, we just sort it out according to what the needs are, or sometimes it's just something fun. It just depends on everybody's taste and
Yeah,
preference. So
for
yeah,
sure.
but well, thank you for this, Mark.
Thanks
It's
for
been
having
a
me.
pleasure, and
Yeah.
yeah, I do just really enjoy recommending your product, and I appreciate our working relationship very much. So you help make my job easier.
Well, thank you very much. I
Yeah.
enjoy our relationship as well.
Yeah,
No, it's
thank
great.
you. Okay, so again, Budget Blinds Peterborough, Mark Thomas, and you can find him online if you're looking, or contact me, and I'll come and help you out, and at some point we'll get Mark on site and we'll get it done. So thank you, Mark.
Good. All right. Thanks, Jill.
Thanks.